All right, let's fire up what might be history's ultimate city building challenge. We're going to be talking about a civilization that absolutely mastered urban planning and engineering thousands of years before it was even a thing. I mean, seriously, just think about that for a second. What if the most incredible, well-designed world wasn't built with code at all, but with, actual bricks, bronze, and just pure human brain power? So let's meet our players, the Hattapans. And their game world? Well, it was the massive, fertile Indus River Valley. And this is where they decided to build one of the most amazing civilizations the ancient world has ever seen. All right, let's get into it and see what made these people the absolute ultimate world builders of their time. Every great build, every great game, it all starts with unlocking that one critical resource. And for the Harappans, their first huge level up was figuring out farming. So let's check out the timeline here. The real game changer? That happens way back, about 10,000 years ago, with agriculture. That was the turning point. Fast forward to 3500 BCE, and you start to see these little villages popping up, kind of like the first spawn points in a new game. Then, boom, 1,000 years later, they seriously level up into huge cities. And by 2500 BCE, we've got the full release, the complete Harappan civilization in all its glory. And this really shows you the massive difference. Before they unlocked farming, humanity was pretty much stuck in survival mode, right? Just constantly moving, hunting, gathering. But after, it was like they flipped the switch to creative mode. All of a sudden, people could settle down, build permanent homes, and this is the key, they created a food surplus. And that extra food meant that not everyone had to be a farmer anymore. You could have specialists, people who were crafters, engineers, traders, the whole shebang. And believe me, those specialists got right to work. Which brings us to their most legendary achievement, a truly pro-level city build. I mean, just look at this. The level of organization it's just mind-blowing. This is not some random mess of buildings. This is a master plan, a precise grid with streets running perfectly north-south and east-west. We're talking about incredibly advanced urban planning, and they were doing it 4,500 years ago. It's wild. And the specs for their cities? Absolutely top tier. They had this dual zone layout, a fortified upper town, the citadel, probably for the elites, and then a lower town for everybody else. And get this, they used standardized building blocks. All their bricks were the same quality, the same size. Then you've got these massive defensive walls and huge public warehouses for storing grain. This was organized society on a scale that's just hard to wrap your head around. But okay, if you think that's impressive, here's where they just leap into the future. They built something that most of the world wouldn't see for thousands of years, a fully functional, sophisticated sewer system. Yeah, what archaeologists have found is just unbelievable. Think about this. Every single house had its own bathing area, and that was connected by pipes to these covered drains that ran right under the main streets. The whole system was designed to carry wastewater out of the city, keeping things clean, keeping people healthy. It was a level of public sanitation that was absolutely unheard of back then. And the absolute crown jewel of their water engineering has to be the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro. We're talking about a huge 12 by 7 meter tank, and it was perfectly waterproofed with natural tar. It had steps leading down into it, rooms all around it, a whole complex. Now, it was probably used for important rituals, but you can think of it as the ultimate community pool. This thing wasn't just a building, it was an absolute masterpiece. So, you can't have incredible cities like this without a powerhouse economy to back them up, right? And that brings us to our next part, how the Harappans built this incredibly complex, even global trade network. These guys were total masters when it came to crafting. They had some serious metallurgy skills, working with copper, bronze, tin, you name it. And you can see their incredible range right here. On one hand, you have this beautiful, detailed piece of art, the bronze dancing girl. And on the other, you have the tough, essential tools they made for just getting things done. That's real skill. So how do you move all this cool stuff you're making? Well, you build incredible trade hubs, like the dockyard at Lothal. I mean, look at this thing. It's this massive man-made basin, one of the first of its kind in the entire world. This was the spot. Ships would pull in, load up with exports, we're talking cotton, beads, timber, and then head out, kickstarting India's very first major sea trade. Okay, so you've got all this trade going on. How in the world do you keep track of it all? Well, you use these steatite seals.
The best way to think of them is like an ancient barcode. They were these little, really detailed seals that they'd press into clay on a package. The markings, usually an animal and some writing that, by the way, we still can't decipher, would basically say who sent it or where it came from. It was a genius system for managing a huge, complex economy. But then, after centuries of just incredible success, something happened. This amazing civilization started to fade away. And that brings us to our final and maybe most fascinating section, the great unsolved mystery of what happened to them.
Yeah, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? They had it all. The amazing cities, the booming trade, the next-level engineering. So why? Why did it all just grind to a halt? Why did this incredible server just go offline?
And what's so wild is that there's no easy answer. Seriously, historians are still arguing about this today. Was it climate change? The whole area got drier, farms started failing. Or maybe a huge river that they depended on just dried up or changed its path. Then you've got other ideas, maybe massive earthquakes or floods, maybe conflict with newcomers, or maybe their economy just buckled under the strain. There are so many possibilities.
So what was it? One single, catastrophic event that just wiped them out? Or was it more of a slow burn, a painful decline from a dozen different problems hitting all at once? The truth is, we might never know for sure. And that's why the mystery of the Harappans remains one of history's absolute greatest unsolved quests.